Ever wonder if the universe is not yet as really a "I'm preparing you"? Do you ever feel like you're standing at the edge of your breakthrough so close you can almost taste it, but something invisible keeps holding you back? What if the delays, the rejections, the closed doors weren't random? What if your soul signed up for every twist and turn before you even arrived here? What if the waiting isn't punishment, but preparation? What if what you think you're missing is waiting for you to remember the timing you already agreed to? What if your biggest no was really a redirection written in love? What if that relationship that didn't work out was never supposed to? And what if, right here, right now, you're exactly on time? Have you ever felt like the universe delayed you for a reason? Tell me below if you've experienced this. Let's pause for a moment. Take a breath with me. This isn't just a conversation, it's an invitation. Today, we're going deeper, beyond vision boards, beyond manifestation journals, beyond scripting the perfect timeline. We're talking about the timeline of your soul. Because here's the truth. There's a difference between forcing and flowing, a difference between chasing and aligning. Maybe you've felt it. The frustration, the comparison, the wondering why it hasn't happened yet. Maybe you've looked around at others getting married, landing promotions, buying homes and thought, did I miss my turn? What if you didn't miss it? What if you're not late? What if every closed door, every delayed dream, every painful ending is part of a sacred agreement your soul made long ago today? We're exploring soul contracts, karmic timing, divine delays not as obstacles, but as teachers, not as reasons to doubt, but reasons to trust. Because what if the universe isn't saying no? It's saying, I'm preparing you. Take a deep breath. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Imagine sitting at a coffee shop, telling this story to a close friend. Maybe you'd share about the time you didn't get the job you thought was perfect, only to land something even better 6 months later. Or the relationship that ended painfully, which made space for a deeper love to arrive years after. Life has a way of closing doors not to keep you out, but to guide you toward the ones meant for you. It's like planting a seed you can't see what's happening underground. But that doesn't mean growth isn't. It's easy to forget in the waiting, easy to think you're being punished or forgotten. But when we zoom out, when we trust the timing written into our story, we realize we're not behind. We're right on schedule. Take a deep breath. Right now, feel where you are, and know this: you haven't missed anything. You're not late. Every twist, every delay, every unexpected turn, it's all been preparing you for something you might not even be able to imagine yet. But it's coming. Let's talk about soul contracts. Imagine this before you ever took your first breath, before your body even formed. Your soul was sitting in a sacred council. There were guides, teachers, ancestors gathered around you, and together, you created a blueprint for this lifetime. Not every tiny detail, because life has its beautiful spontaneity, but the big moments, the key lessons, the people who would enter and exit, the challenges you would face that would stretch you, break you open, and rebuild you stronger than before. You didn't choose these things because you wanted to suffer. You chose them because your soul wanted to grow in ways comfort couldn't teach. That heartbreak you still carry, that job loss that shook your confidence, that door that slammed so hard it left you standing in the dark. Those weren't accidents. Those were part of the agreement. Not punishment, not karma catching up, but catalysts for your evolution. I remember a friend telling me about a time she thought her life had completely fallen apart. She had lost her job, her relationship ended, and her apartment lease wasn't renewed all within the same month. At first, she spiraled. She felt abandoned by the universe. But But 6 months later, she looked back and realized every ending made space for something better. She started her own business. She met a partner who truly saw her. She moved to a city that fit her dreams more than the last ever did, and she told me, if all those things hadn't ended, I never would have found this life I love now. That's soul contract energy. It doesn't make the pain disappear, but it gives the pain purpose. It reminds you that nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. When you start to see your life through this lens, something shifts. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of chaos. You start seeing the sacred choreography. You begin to trust the pauses, the reroutes, the unanswered prayers. You begin to understand that every heartbreak carved out more space for compassion. Every closed door pointed you toward the door meant for you. Every delay wasn't holding you back. It was holding you in place until you were ready. And the more you trust this process, the more peace you feel, even in uncertainty. Because your soul, it didn't come here to play small. It came here to remember its strength. And sometimes, remembering takes walking through fire to find the light again. Have you ever looked back at a tough moment and realized it was leading you somewhere better? Let's talk about karma and divine timing in a way that actually feels real, not abstract. A lot of people hear the word karma and instantly think punishment. But karma isn't some cosmic slap on the wrist. It's balance. It's the natural return of energy. Think of it like a garden. Every seed you've planted, whether it was love, fear, generosity, avoidance, eventually grows into something. Sometimes, those seeds were planted lifetimes ago, and now, in this lifetime, you're harvesting what started way back then. Maybe you're asking for abundance. Maybe you're calling in love. But it feels like no matter how hard you try, it's just not showing up. And it's so easy to jump to the conclusion that you're failing, or that the universe is ignoring you. But what if it's neither? What if the delay isn't a denial but a clearing? What if the universe is rearranging people, situations, even unseen karmic threads, so that when the thing you're asking for arrives, you're actually ready to hold it? Let me give you an example. I knew someone who wanted love so badly. They were manifesting, journaling, scripting, visualizing, but every relationship kept falling apart. Every partner seemed unavailable. It wasn't until they did deep healing work around their childhood wounds, around the belief that love had to be earned, that things shifted. And not long after, they met someone who reflected the love they had finally learned to give themselves. It wasn't timing that was broken. It was inner readiness that needed space to bloom. That's the thing about divine timing. It's not the universe holding back to punish you. It's the universe protecting you from receiving something before you can actually hold it. Think about money. If $1 million landed in your lap today, but your nervous system wasn't prepared to handle that level of responsibility, it would slip right through your fingers. Or love. If the love of your life arrived while you were still clinging to old pain, would you recognize them? Would you be able to let them in? Divine timing isn't about making you wait just to test your patience. It's alignment. It's preparation. It's the universe saying, I want this for you, but I want you to have the capacity, the maturity, the healed space to hold it well. So the next time something feels delayed, instead of asking why it hasn't come yet, maybe ask what is still being prepared inside me, what is still being cleared, what seeds are still sprouting beneath the surface. When you start seeing timing this way, you stop feeling behind. You stop comparing your timeline to anyone else's. You start trusting that your journey is sacredly timed, that nothing is late, that what's for you is not being withheld, it's being readied. And that kind of trust that changes everything. Have you ever felt like something was held back? only to later realize it wasn't the right time. You know, sometimes we think rejection is the universe slamming a door in our face. But what if it's really a detour towards something better? I remember my friend Sarah. She wanted this job so badly. She applied 5 times. Each time, she got a polite no. After the 5th rejection, she called me crying, saying she felt like a failure. But what she didn't know, 6 months later, the entire department she applied to was shut down. If she had gotten that job, she would have been laid off. Instead, in those 6 months, she started freelancing, slowly building her own business. And today she works for herself, making more than she ever dreamed possible. That no wasn't a rejection. It was protection. It was the universe saying, not this door. There's another one. We forget sometimes that the soul sees farther than the mind. We only see the step right in front of us. But the soul sees the whole map. So when things fall apart, when plans get delayed, when opportunities slip through our fingers, maybe it's not because we're unworthy. Maybe it's because the path is being rerouted for our highest good. I've heard so many stories like Sarah's. People who didn't get into their dream school but found a different calling. People who lost a relationship and met their soulmate later. People who thought they were stuck only to realize they were being planted, not buried. It's easy to trust timing when doors swing open. It's harder when they stay closed. But that's the real invitation to trust, even in the silence. To believe even in the pause. Because sometimes, the no you're hearing isn't a forever no. It's a not yet, or a not here, or a not this way. And the moment you stop fighting it, that's when the new path appears. If this message speaks to you so far, tap the like button and comment so I know you're here. That's when you see the reroute as a rescue, not a rejection. So if you're in a season of closed doors, I want you to hear this. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. And you're definitely not being punished. You're being guided, even when it doesn't look like it, even when it doesn't feel like it. That delay, it's setting you up. That rejection, it's clearing space. The detour, it's divine. Trust it. Can you think of a no that turned out to be a hidden blessing? Let's talk about recognizing divine timing. You know, sometimes we expect divine timing to show up like a flashing neon sign, or this big loud announcement that everything's aligned. But the truth, it's usually quieter. It's subtle. It feels like small doors opening, one after another. Instead of a giant gate swinging wide, you might notice things just feel smoother. The people you need start showing up. Conversations fall into place. That call you've been waiting for, it finally comes. Not because you forced it, but because you were ready to receive it. I remember a friend telling me about how she kept pushing for a promotion at work. She networked. She stayed late. She took on extra projects. But every time the opportunity opened up, someone else got it. She felt frustrated, like maybe she wasn't seen or appreciated. But during that waiting period, she ended up discovering a passion for coaching her colleagues. She started mentoring quietly on the side, just because it felt right. And then one day, out of nowhere, she was offered a role leading a whole new training program. It wasn't the promotion she thought she wanted, it was better. It aligned with who she had become. That's divine timing. It's not about pushing harder or chasing faster. It's about preparing in the pause. It's about the inner work you do while waiting. You might start seeing repeating numbers. You might bump into an old friend who tells you something that shifts your perspective. You might wake up with clarity you didn't have the day before. These are nudges. These are whispers. Divine timing doesn't rush. Divine timing doesn't force. It invites. It aligns. And when you're in that flow, you don't feel desperate. You feel held. You feel supported. You start trusting that what's yours won't miss you, that the universe isn't playing games, it's preparing rooms you haven't even walked into yet. It's weaving connections you don't even see. And little by little, you realize you were never waiting in vain. You were being shaped for what you prayed for. So if you're in that space right now, wondering why it hasn't arrived, maybe the better question is, what's being prepared for me? What in me is being ready to receive? Because when it comes, it won't feel like a fight. It'll feel like a homecoming. And you'll look back and see it wasn't a delay. It was divine design. Have you ever noticed those small nudges? The subtle signs pointing you forward? Let's take a minute to really think about this. Have you ever stopped to consider that the story you've been carrying inside you, yes, the one you thought was too messy, too broken, too embarrassing to share, might actually be the exact story someone else needs to hear? See, we're taught to keep the hard parts hidden. We're taught to smile through the struggle, to only share the wins, to make sure everything looks perfect from the outside. But real healing doesn't happen in perfection. It happens in the raw, the honest, the vulnerable. I want you to imagine someone scrolling late at night, feeling completely alone, thinking they're the only one battling what they're going through. And then they stumble across your words. Maybe it's a simple sentence you post in a comment. Maybe it's a voice note you send to a friend. Maybe it's something you write in your journal but finally decide to read out loud in a safe space. Whatever it looks like, your voice becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, they see themselves. They realize, wait, it's not just me. I'm not the only one. That moment, that's medicine. I've seen it happen again and again. A quiet post, a whispered truth, a brave share that unlocks permission in someone else to share too. Healing ripples outward. It multiplies. It doesn't just stop with you. That's why your story matters, not because it's polished or perfect, but because it's real, because it carries a frequency that only you can give. And when you release it into the world, you're giving someone else a lifeline. There's power in naming what's been unnamed. There's healing in shining light on what's been hidden. And every time you choose to speak, to share, to let yourself be seen, you're participating in collective healing. You're weaving a stronger net for all of us. So today, I want to ask you, what's one truth you're ready to release? What's one old story you're ready to let go of? Write it down. Say it out loud. Or share it in the comments below. Because the moment you name it, you start to free yourself. And in freeing yourself, you help free someone else. Maybe you're thinking, but my story isn't that special. Let me tell you it is. Because nobody else has lived it exactly like you. Nobody else has felt it exactly like you. And the details you think are small, they're the very things that make it powerful. I once heard a woman say she never thought her struggles with anxiety were worth mentioning until she spoke up in a group and realized half the room had been silently battling the same thing. That moment created a circle of honesty, a space where masks came down. That's the gift of sharing. It doesn't just unburden you, it invites others into freedom too. What's one thing you're ready to surrender today? There's this quiet moment. You know, it's not loud. It's not dramatic, it just sneaks up on you. It's the moment when the endless questioning fades. When you stop sitting there asking, why hasn't it happened yet? And you start whispering under your breath, thank you for preparing me. It's subtle, but it shifts something deep inside. It's like realizing the waiting room you thought you were stuck in wasn't some punishment. It was actually a sacred space, a space where you were being grown, shaped, strengthened for what's coming next. I've heard so many people tell stories like this. A woman who spent years trying to land her dream job, facing rejection after rejection, only to find herself starting her own business instead, and later realizing that every no was pushing her toward her real calling. Or a man who thought he lost the love of his life when the relationship ended, but years later met someone who showed him what love could truly be. Every detour, every delay wasn't random. It was the universe weaving a story only it could see the full picture of. That's the thing about divine timing. It's not working against you, it's working for you. But it's almost impossible to see in real time. It's usually when you look back that you finally connect the dots. You realize every closed door protected you from something you couldn't see at the time. Every pause gave you space to grow into the version of you who could actually hold the blessing when it arrived. I want you to think back for a second. Think about a time when you didn't get what you wanted. A time that broke your heart or shook your confidence. And now, from where you stand today, can you see how it made you stronger? Can you see how it prepared you? That's the realization I'm talking about. It's not a flashy, fireworks kind of moment. It's quiet. It's still, but it changes everything. Because once you see it, you can never unsee it. You carry that knowing with you forever. And maybe today is that moment for you. Maybe right now, you're realizing you weren't off track. You were never late. You were always being guided. Let's pause here for a moment. I want you to really feel where you are right now. Maybe you've been rushing through your days, chasing deadlines, trying so hard to make everything happen on your own timeline. But right here, right now, I invite you to take a deep breath with me. You've come so far. You've weathered storms you thought would break you. You've sat in rooms of unanswered prayers and still showed up the next day. That takes courage. That takes heart. And maybe you haven't heard it lately, but I want to tell you I'm proud of you. You didn't quit. You didn't give up on the story unfolding inside you. And even if the path felt unclear, even if you doubted yourself, even if you felt behind, look at you. You're still here. You're still listening. You're still open. That's proof of resilience. That's proof you're being prepared. Breathe. You're ready. As we close this journey together, I want you to carry this truth with you. No step has been wasted. Every closed door wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Every delay wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You were never abandoned. You were being guided toward alignment, toward timing that serves not just what you want, but what will sustain you. Because the universe doesn't just want you to receive, it wants you to be ready to hold. And readiness isn't always visible. Sometimes it looks like waiting. Sometimes it looks like detours. But it's all part of weaving you into the version of yourself that can stand tall in what's coming. And now, I want to invite you into a collective step forward. I want to ask you, what's one sign, one synchronicity, one gentle nudge you've noticed lately that made you pause? Maybe it was a repeating number. Maybe it was a dream. Maybe it was a conversation that struck a chord. I invite you to write it below. Or, if you're not sure, simply write, "I trust the timing of my life." Because even the act of declaring trust sends a signal to the universe. It's like saying, I may not see the whole map, but I'm willing to keep walking. I may not have all the answers, but I'm willing to stay open. And that willingness, that's faith in motion. That's surrender in action. And every time you write it, every time you speak it, you strengthen that trust. You build that bridge between hope and reality. So drop your sign below. And if you haven't noticed a sign yet, that's okay. Just write, "I trust the timing of my life." That's powerful too. Let your comment be part of a tapestry we're weaving together. Every word shared here adds to the collective energy of healing and hope. And if you don't know what to write yet, simply drop 777 to show you're walking this journey with you. Every story matters, yours included. You're not alone in this. We're walking it together. One honest, brave, beautiful step at a time. I want you to think back to a moment when life felt like it was standing still. Maybe it was after a loss. Maybe it was in a season where every door felt closed and every prayer felt unanswered. We've all had those moments. And in those moments, it's easy to believe the universe has forgotten you. But here's the truth, those quiet seasons, those in-between spaces, they're not empty. They're sacred. They're the pause before the next chapter. And in that pause, something inside you is preparing. Strength is building. Wisdom is deepening. You're learning patience, even when it feels impossible. You're learning trust, even when it doesn't make sense. Let me tell you about a friend of mine. She spent years dreaming of starting her own wellness studio. Every time she saved up enough, something unexpected happened: a medical bill, a family emergency, a sudden expense. For 5 years, her dream felt out of reach. But instead of giving up, she used those years to study, to grow, to mentor under other leaders. And when the time finally came, she wasn't just ready, she was equipped with tools she wouldn't have had if it had happened sooner. That delay, it wasn't denial. It was divine preparation. So if you're in a waiting season right now, I want you to know you're not behind. You're being readied. And sometimes, the things you're waiting for are waiting for you to become the person who can receive them fully. And as we close today, I want to invite you again, comment below one sign you've seen this week. One nudge, one whisper from the universe. Or if you haven't seen one yet, it's okay. Just write, "I trust the timing of my life." Every time we name it, every time we write it, we're weaving our individual stories into a greater collective story. We're building a tapestry of hope, of trust, of healing, and you're part of it. We're all part of it. Together,